The movie opens up in a high school classroom with our main character, a handsome boy named Satoyama, writing something on a paper. Our boy and his friends are changing classrooms, and before they leave, Satoyama wants to confess his love for the girl who's taking his seat. He writes a confession letter for her and leaves it under his desk. Soon after he leaves, a group of girls enter the classroom, and our female lead, Nazumi, gets Satoyama's seat. She arranges her belongings, and as she's about to place her bag beside the desk, she notices the letter. Surprised, she secretly places it inside her bag, and after the class is over, goes straight to the broadcasting room. There, she plays a song on the radio for everyone and opens the letter. As soon as she sees Satoyama's confession about how much he likes her, she jumps for joy and cannot believe it. Later in the hallway, she encounters Satoyama, but feeling nervous, she tries to avoid him. Fortunately, her friend Erino arrives and Nazumi quickly leaves with her. Outside, when Nazumi inquires about Satoyama, the latter lies to Erino about not noticing him and then asks what Erino would do if Satoyama proposed to her. Erino shares that she dislikes Satoyama's attitude and would likely reject his proposal. Nazumi does not react to her friend's reply and acts casually. But as soon as she reaches home, she goes crazy. She reads the letter from Satoyama again and again and wonders if it's really for her. The next day, Nazumi decides to respond to Satoyama's confession by slipping a letter into his shoe spot at school. In her note, she kindly explains that she can't accept his feelings because she doesn't know him well enough. Meanwhile, Satoyama is seen rejecting another girl's proposal, making it clear he likes someone else. Unbeknownst to him, a classmate named Yuko witnesses this and spreads the news to the entire class. Excitement ensues as other girls wish they could be the one for Satoyama. Later, Nazumi discovers another letter from Satoyama under her desk during math class. This time, he's asking her for a date, expressing a desire for them to get to know each other better. Surprised, Nazumi responds by suggesting they keep their communications secret by dropping letters in a box outside the broadcasting room. Satoyama agrees, and they start their discreet exchange. One day, as Satoyama is returning after placing a notebook in the box, Nazumi arrives and they accidentally bump into each other. Satoyama doesn't say anything and simply walks away. After he leaves, Nazumi opens the box and discovers a notebook inside. In it, Satoyama expresses a desire for them to know each other through the notebook, planning to meet face to face once its pages are filled. Nazumi feels overjoyed, but her happiness turns to heartbreak when she notices Erino's name at the end, realizing the letters were meant for her friend, not her. Heartbroken, Nazumi writes back, clarifying the misunderstanding, and plans to leave the notebook at Satoyama's shoe spot. Unfortunately, when she arrives, Satoyama is already there. Nervous and in a hurry to leave, she slips and falls. Satoyama comes to her aid, helping her stand. He then asks if she's Erino's friend. Surprisingly, when Nazumi confirms, our boy inquires if Erino talks about him and a notebook. Hearing this from her crush, the former feels awkward and just replies with a yes, giving some hope to Satoyama that he will soon get a reply from Erino. As soon as he hears this, Satoyama jumps for joy and runs away. After the mix-up, Nazumi begins writing to Satoyama, pretending to be Erino, and they develop a friendly relationship, sharing hobbies and preferences. Satoyama mentions his favorite band, The Hormones, and Nazumi is thrilled because she's a big fan of them too. They bond over their similar tastes, and when Nazumi talks about performing one of the band's songs, Satoyama warns her about their loud music. The next day, when Nazumi returns from class, she encounters Haruko, her ex-boyfriend, who tries to talk to her. However, Nazumi ignores him and remains silent. Haruko then eventually leaves, understanding her stance. The scene then shifts to Nazumi's friends convincing her to join them for karaoke. Nazumi agrees, and when she arrives at the karaoke center, she's surprised to find Satoyama there too. Everyone has a good time, but suddenly Nazumi decides to leave. Satayama follows her outside and commends her for letting him and Erino use the letterbox outside the broadcasting station for their messages through notebooks. Nozomi nods, pretending to know about it, and sensing her reluctance, Satayama becomes frustrated. He then suggests she be clear and express her feelings loudly. In the midst of their conversation, a group of young kids shows up with a football. Satayama kicks the ball to the kids, mentioning that he used to play the sport in his childhood. Unfortunately, he had to give it up to care for his younger sister when his grandmother fell ill. Upon hearing this, Nozomi feels a sense of sadness and encourages Satayama, assuring him that success will come his way and things will fall into place. Moving on to the next scene, the whole school is preparing for the upcoming annual sports festival. This time, Satayama misses playing soccer with his friends and joins them for practice. Soon, Nozomi and Yuko arrive there, and Satayama's friend Hiroto waves at them. At this moment, Yuko reveals that she has liked Hiroto for a very long time, but sadly, he likes Erino. Yuko then requests Nozomi to help her get closer to her crush Hiroto, and the latter agrees to it. Later in the evening, we see Satayama practicing football all alone in a park. The next morning, Hiroto arrives at the school with Yuko and asks her if she wants to accompany him to an amusement park. The latter one becomes very happy to get the invitation. But before she can ask more about the details, Hiroto requests her to bring Erino with her. Devastated, Erino talks about it to Nozomi and suggests she join them too, so that it does not feel like a date for Hiroto. Following this, the three girls, along with Hiroto and Satayama, go to an amusement park to enjoy their holiday. They have a lot of fun, and Satayama also makes a joke of Nozomi's old-fashioned dress. After a while, when the group sits to have lunch, Erino talks to Satayama and mentions the items the girls found under their desks after the guys left the classroom. Hearing this, Nozomi immediately intervenes in the conversation and diverts the topic. She doesn't want Satayama to find that he's actually writing the letter to her and not Erino. Later, after the lunch is over, Satayama accompanies Nozomi to dispose of the trash. He buys her a weird drink to taste, and the girl accepts it with excitement. Seeing this, Satayama tells her that she is sweet to everyone, and that's what she must carry on. He also gives her a teddy he won as a gift to her, and the latter likes it a lot. However, later when Nozomi sees Satayama spending time with Erino, she doesn't like it and feels sad. After she returns home, Nozomi tries to write about it in the notebook, but removes it and draws a teddy bear instead, stating that she thoroughly enjoyed the day. In the following scene, Haruko visits the broadcasting room to donate his old collection of music books. Nozomi is taken aback, but warmly welcomes him. To her surprise, Haruko hands over the collection and encourages her, suggesting that she has the potential to become a great radio jockey. Taking his words seriously, Nozomi starts practicing speaking in front of the mirror. The scene then shifts to the day when the teacher hands out result sheets to the students. Unfortunately, Satayama receives low grades in English and is required to take another exam in 2 weeks. Worried about his performance, he urgently approaches Nozomi, requesting her help in learning English. Satayama also shares his phone number and suggests Nozomi come to his home for tutoring. Initially hesitant, Nozomi agrees when she learns about Satayama looking after his ill grandmother and younger sister. As they leave, they run into Haruko, who asks about Nozomi's voice practice. At this moment, Satayama discovers that Nozomi is practicing to enter the announcement class to become a radio jockey. After a while, Nozomi and Satayama reach his house, where his younger sister warmly greets them. To everyone's surprise, she assumes Nozomi is her brother's girlfriend and even asks about who confessed first. The sister also reveals her crush in their class and seeks advice on how to propose to him. Nozomi is left in shock until Satayama silences his sister and sends him away. In the evening, Satayama accompanies Nozomi home and takes a moment to teach her some basketball moves. He reveals that he has noticed her struggling during the basketball practice and wants her to focus on it. During this time, he reveals his passion for soccer and expresses his desire to pursue it again. Fast forward to the next scene. Satayama messages Nozomi, thanking her for helping him in studying English to improve his grades. In response, she expresses her happiness for him and suggests meeting in person the following day to share a secret. The next morning, Erino is spotted talking to a guy from another school. Her friends notice and inquire after she returns to the classroom. Erino confirms that they like each other and are dating. Upon hearing this, Nozomi speaks up, suggesting Erino should have looked around and considered others who might like her within the same school. This statement triggers Yuko, who assumes Nozomi is referring to Hiroto. Yuko then accuses Nozomi of betrayal and trying to ruin her chances with Hiroto. Our girl tries to defend herself, but before she can, Erino intervenes, clarifying that she is not interested in Hiroto and urges Yuko to stay out of her matters. This leads to tension between the girls, and they stop speaking to each other, both angry and hurt. In the evening after classes, Satayama notices Nozomi looking upset and takes her to the school rooftop. He suggests she let out her anger by screaming loudly, and Nozomi follows his advice, feeling a sense of relief. Satayama then asks if her ex-boyfriend caused trouble, but she denies it. Instead, she shares that she broke up with her ex because she couldn't express her feelings to him. Nozomi then advises Satayama to confess his feelings to Erino face to face. Surprisingly, Satayama leans in and kisses Nozomi on the lips, leaving her shocked and confused. The next day at school, Yuko brings a friendship song CD to Nozomi, asking her to play it. After listening to the song, Yuko apologizes, and they become friends again. Erino hears the song and rushes to the broadcasting room to reconcile with the girls. While there, Erino hears a noise from outside, discovering it's Satayama dropping a notebook in the box. She takes out the notebook and starts reading it. Seeing this, Nozomi panics and runs away, fearing that Erino will uncover everything she did behind her back. It's actually the day of the annual sports event, when students are getting ready, preparing for their respective competitions. Hirito and Yuko have a conversation where Hirito talks about proposing to Erino if he wins his soccer match. Nozomi participates in the basketball competition, applying techniques taught by Satayama, and helps her team win by scoring baskets. On the other hand, unfortunately, Satayama's soccer team loses their match. Feeling upset after the loss, Hirito is approached by Yuko. Here, she bravely expresses her long-standing love for him, confessing her feelings. Initially stunned, Hirito eventually gives it a thought and accepts her confession. Meanwhile, Erino and Nozomi have a conversation where the former understands her friend's situation. Surprisingly, Erino reveals that she has known Nozomi since childhood and understands the difficulty she faced in pretending to be someone else. She forgives Nozomi, and the two friends reconcile, back on good terms. In the final scene, Nozomi writes a letter to Satayama, finally revealing her true identity and leaves it under her desk. She then plays Satayama's favorite band song on the radio, bringing joy to the entire school. When Satayama reads the letter, he hurries to the broadcasting room to confront Nozomi. Initially, he's upset, yelling at Nozomi for pretending and writing to him as someone else. However, he soon admits that he had liked her from the beginning, but was afraid to confess. Unbeknownst to them, the microphone in the broadcasting room is on, and their conversation is heard by the entire school. Satayama reveals that he knew about her identity, but continued writing because he was impressed with her words, and had developed feelings for her. Nozomi confesses that she also liked him, but lacked the courage to tell him directly. The movie concludes with a kiss between Satayama and Nozomi in the broadcasting room, marking the beginning of their new relationship. Friends and classmates celebrate in the background, cheering for the happy couple. Hit the like button if you liked it, subscribe if you loved it, and feel free to share this content with your friends and family as well. And don't forget to ring the notification bell to stay updated with our future videos. And that's about it. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next videos.